Hello, and welcome to the fourth episode of JagaVision. We're always starting around 1-ish on Thursdays. The point of JagaVision is to share some tea with you and to invite some guests onto the show and share it with them as well at the same time. Discuss a little bit of what's going on and see if we can't figure out some beautiful flavors from these teas. So today we're going to have Pedro Villalon join us from O5T in Vancouver. He's a good friend of ours. We've been sharing teas for quite a long time now. We also have our guest Sherri Anne from Sister Speak, who joins us every week and makes tea with us as well. So looking forward to that. It's been a interesting learning experience, figuring out all this technology during COVID-19. Came up with the idea to share tea virtually during COVID-19 so that we could have a little bit of a chance to have tea with our viewers, as we're so used to people coming into the tea shop and sharing it with them. Then there was this kind of sense of loss, so it was a good opportunity to bring the tea bar to you, so to speak. So I hope you enjoy these shows. Today we're going to be drinking some Gyokuro. It's on display there, right here. It is a tea that's come in 16th place in Japan, a beautiful green tea. We'll be talking a little bit more about that once I have my guests on the show. I always like to start out with a little bit of a selection that I haven't had a chance to drink yet, so we can share candid opinions about the tea. So today I'm going to be making a Toklai. So we often bring in a Toklai from Miss Neha in Bihar from the Doka estate every year. She does a good job with hand rolling the teas. Her oxidation control over the withering process seems to improve every year. It's still quite a young farm, but the family has a lot of experience in tea. So they started out with wanting to focus exclusively on white teas, and so they planted the Toklai cultivar as they'd found that it produced some really good results for white tea production in the region. I haven't had the chance to really get attached to the white teas that they have made. I did enjoy some of the more experimental oolongs from time to time, but I found that this particular tea, their crimson tea, has found a special place for sure in my esteem anyway, for what that matters. So this is a Toklai, is the cultivar. Leaves looking pretty tiny, so this is a very early harvest. Or just really small leaves in general, but they seem even smaller than normal. Might be a slower growing year. A little bit of bud content. See some of if you can see the golden material in there, that's the buds that have been withered, whereas the darker sections are the leaf. It looks really interesting. Smells chocolatey. Always good times. I'm gonna bust out a teapot. Already got it. Preheat that. No. Maybe I can do this for you guys. So we're gonna drop in 3 grams of tea. When I'm making a crimson tea, I often have a setting of 3 grams for every 180 mils, just to test things out. Depending on the oxidation level, I'll experiment with 90 degrees to 100 degrees centigrade. And I generally brew at 3 minutes to 3.5, depending. I have a little bit more experience with this tea in terms of previous years. So I'm just going to go with some settings that I found tasted good in previous years. I'm going to do 3 grams, 180 milliliters, and I'm going to do it for 3.5 minutes. So that should do it. 180. I always like to put in a little bit less rather than a little bit more. I press go on the timer the moment that the water hits the leaves. Smelling very nice. Again, some nice malt in there. Kind of see that brewing away. Should be ready in about 2 minutes and 45 seconds. So yeah, was interesting communicating with these guys when we were in Mondokoro, because we were working with the Kawakami family, who produced that Sencha Zairaishu that we were discussing in episode 2. We also made a crimson tea with them that we'll be doing at another time, and they were being very careful with their withering percentage. They were weighing the leaves before they blew air on them and after, really getting a strong sense of how much moisture loss they were experiencing in different stages of the process. And while we were doing that, it came to mind that it'd be interesting to check in with some other farmers that we work with. And so we contacted Neha and her brother Vivek, and we just had a great conversation by email about the different withering processes for creating crimson tea. And it was just really lovely how open they were to sharing their experiments and their tea knowledge with us, so that we could in turn share that with our Japanese farmers that we work with. So yeah, I love it when people are open to information sharing, and rather than it makes sense to hide these kinds of techniques too. If you want to have proprietary information, then by all means, But Jaga Silk, we've always been big fans of sharing information, sharing knowledge, and having that opportunity to really connect. I think that way, by sharing knowledge and by growing an industry rather than just growing something that is very internal and not really helping anybody else. So yeah, it was lovely to see that they had that perspective as well. 48 seconds left. Let's see how this is smelling now. Yeah, okay. It's producing some interesting aromatics. You'll notice that we often use a bulbous teapot. This really helps to encourage the leaves to spin with convection currents to properly extract flavor. And I mean, it's often just enough. Let me see. To just use something that has a lot of room for the leaves to spin. So you could work with something that's like a large jar, and that would be fine too. So let's pour that in. I always love to measure the liquid absorption. So I had 183 grams in, and I have 174 grams out. Oh, I have somebody joining me. Hello. Hello?
Mike is good.
Is that Pedro?
I think you have these guys. Hello?
Hello, Pedro. How's it going, man?
Jared-san. Can't hear you, man.
You can't hear me?
No, barely. I've got you on top volume.
Interesting.
See, I can see you.
Okay. All right. One second. Okay.
I think your mic's not. You know what? Might be that I don't know. It can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Nope.
Not now. Okay. Give me.
Barely.
Okay.
Super low volume. And I've got my volume all the way to the top, man.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. Give me 1 sec.
I've got.
How's that? Can you hear me now?
I've got the right setup here, but
You should be able to hear me now. Can you hear me now?
no volume
No volume.
or barely any. Wait.
How about now? Can you hear me?
No.
Okay, everybody. I have Pedro joining me live. You just have to give me a moment while we work through the kinks of trying to get him to hear me. So, just one moment, please.
Oh, dude.
Okay. Well, our audience can hear you, Pedro.
I can hear you when I put my.
Your ear.
Right. Let me see if I can do anything.
Well, it might be on my end. So let me see what I can do.
No, man. I totally can't hear you.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Well, I can only hear you if I put the cell phone on my ear, which is bad for visuals.
Right.
But
Do you have a headset? Are you able to use a headset?
I don't have a headset. No.
Okay. All right. We'll figure this out.
Or a speaker. Yeah, we'll figure that. Let me see what.
Okay, I think we got this figured out.
That works. Yeah, I
Okay.
might get it slower because otherwise the camera won't work.
Okay. Okay. So.
All right. I got it.
Well, we got it.
Yeah,
Lovely.
I've got water here. I've got 5 beakers.
Lovely. Okay.
And I've got the Kaki's tea.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Well, everybody, welcome. Let's welcome Pedro Villalon. He's here from O5T. So he's graciously agreed to join us for our session. The JagaVision episode 4, as we're calling it. So, hoping to have lots of fun today. Let me see. We're gonna be drinking some Gyokuro, but before that, Pedro, you want to tell everybody a little bit about what you do over at O5?
Excellent. Well, we have a tea bar. Pretty much what we do is go to some farms in Asia, bring some tequila for some farmers, make friends with those guys, and then serve their tea over in North America. So not that different versus Jaga Silk. We believe in making friends with those guys. It's not just a business relationship.
Right.
We believe that they are, in the end they're just leads. So it shouldn't be this unapproachable, snobby drink.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, it's just something delicious that grows on earth, and people like Jared and I try to express it in a delicious way for you guys to drink and smile.
That's the point. Yeah, that's the hope for sure. Okay, awesome. Yeah, actually, I guess we've known each other since even before O5T started. Hey.
Yeah. It's been about 10 years, man. So it's been a while that we've been drinking tea.
I've when you opened up O5, I was so excited. I really and then when I visited your space, I was just like, yeah, like there's so much going on that really resonated, and I think a lot of it has to go down to keeping it real, right? That authenticness. So for
exactly.
me, that's pretty important, and I really appreciate that you've managed to keep that going even 10 years in, because I know that's not a easy thing to do. There's a lot of push and pull from society to go in a particular direction, and you've managed to keep it really real. So yeah, that's
there's some work involved, and there's been a lot of support from some really nice folks over here, and also back in Asia, in Japan, China, and Korea.
Nobody
some
can
of these
do this
farmers
alone.
have been Right.
Yeah.
Because as many of our listeners might know, we in North America, like small companies like us, we're not really big buyers.
Right.
So for many of these folks, we don't really mean business. We're just some interesting weirdos who love their tea,
Right.
and they kind of like it. They like the fact that many of our customers are fairly new to tea, and they're enjoying some pretty high quality stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So um it's also been interesting working with them during the current challenges we're all facing. Hey, we have, perhaps, I don't know about you, but for us, we've just managed to get to a place where we feel like we're able to give them some volume.
Give me 1 second, please.
Sure. So Pedro will be right back in a moment here. Just give me a second. So, yeah, it's while he's gone, I'll just quickly drink this crimson tea from the Doka estate, which has been tasting really nice. There's some nice acidity, good chocolate, good malt, kind of like a smokiness to it too. Yeah. Delicious, actually. I highly encourage you, if you haven't had a chance, we'll likely bring in a Talklai either this year or next year. It might be later in the year. Right now, we've made some promises for a 2020 selection from Darjeeling. Yeah, that's really nice. So, just gonna see if we can't get Sister Speak on the line here. We'll try that again. Okay. I'm always impressed, again, with the Doka Estate's attention to detail and the withering process. And the fact that they're able to do these small 13-kilogram batches and be able to produce some really interesting flavors. So yeah, really impressed. And I always can tell that the tea has a lot of promise when I put my nose in the cup and it smells really nice. And we have Pedro back, so let's
people knocking on the door, and
yeah,
it's difficult to explain that I'm here, but I'm not. Sorry about it.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, this is definitely a challenge, man. Yeah,
10 gentlemen that wanted some service but can't right now.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, no, it's we're inside of a courtyard here at Nooka Court, so we get the opportunity to just have a buzzer. So every once in a while, I have to go and answer. If it's the mailman, we like to let him in. You know what I'm saying? We want to make sure we get our checks and hopefully not our bills in the mail. So
it's hopefully not the bills. Yeah, no, I explained kindly why I am busy right now, and he said, "Well, you should take your video here while you feel like kombucha growler." I said, "Dude, I would love to,
but you're live.
I cannot make Gyokuro and kombucha at the same time, so it's just too complicated."
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm not a very good multitasker myself.
No.
So you want to tell me or tell everybody a little bit about what O5's up to during COVID-19 and how you've managed to interact with the crisis?
Right. So we've been pretty lucky because we've been able to supply the online to most people, and that's what we're doing. We're just answering phone calls and keeping in touch through social media, and it hasn't been bad. So it really forced us to expand and communicate more through electronic media.
Right.
And it's been great. We're afloat. We're reaching more people in North America and Europe.
Nice. Awesome.
So yeah, it's been about evolving. It's about not staying stagnant and doing something different.
Yeah, and just kind of rising up to this fascinating time, really, man. Like some days I wake up and I'm just like, this is insane, and I don't know how to quite conceptualize it in my head. But then other days it's exhilarating for some weird reason. So yeah,
For some weird reason. Yeah, it's like the movie. You have to feel sorry for all the people that are having it really bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of pain
yeah.
and a lot of death and a lot of isolation and financial just destitution,
and that's terrible.
Yeah, and so there's
on the other hand, you have to do the best, for your people and all, and try to keep things going and employ people and serve a cup of tea that makes some folks happy.
Exactly.
And come out stronger at the other side of the tunnel.
Sister Speak has joined us too. We'll say a quick hi to her. Sherri Anne, meet Pedro. Pedro.
Hi, Pedro.
Hey, how you doing?
Sherri Anne just did her live show. She does a live show every Thursday at noon.
Nice.
And she invites Jaga Silk on for a cup of tea. And there's a bit of nepotism happening there. She is my sister. But we've been her tea sponsor for a really long time and send her teas, and she's almost embarrassingly active with promoting us. It's quite sweet and awesome.
Fair enough. That works out.
Yeah.
I've got my mom promoting our stuff too.
Excellent. Good. Sherri, you want to tell Pedro a little bit about what you do, and then we'll go back to our conversation about COVID-19?
Sure. Pedro, thanks for sharing your story. I play music and usually tour a lot. Right now I'm doing a couple live streams a week instead.
Nice.
Every Thursday and Saturday. It's been really fun. And I am very passionate about tea. That's why I've been obsessively talking about it on my live streams. I like to ask Jared about some of the nutritional benefits as well, because I've been feeling really good drinking tea. It's been up and down for me as well.
Yeah.
Through all this, I basically every show in the next year is questioned whether it's going to happen or not. So all the tours and everything, but I'm really excited to be, exploring more things like gardening and tea and writing.
Yeah. Gardening's good.
Yeah.
I know a guy in Victoria that has some tea plants. Maybe you can get a few of those.
Really? So Pedro, I missed where you are right now.
Vancouver.
Oh, cool. So we're all in British Columbia. I live part-time in California, but I'm here now in the Okanagan.
Nice. Oh, Okanagan is pretty good.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, we're close to the ocean here. It's Kitsilano, so
Awesome.
Yoga Central in Vancouver.
If you're
this is T-Bar. Let me show you quickly around.
Oh.
People and stuff, and there's a draft kombucha, but right now it's not full of people and stuff.
You want to show us one more time, Pedro? That was really choppy.
Nope.
There we go. Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah. You see his retails on the left there. You still have that projector going, or is that a screen?
It's a screen. Yeah, it used to be a projector. It's a screen now.
Makes sense.
It's a Tibetan tea making machine. That's our collection of. I don't know if you guys can see your collection of chasen. So if you're ever into buku buku cha, that's your guy.
There you go. Awesome.
Musu cha, goi cha, bata bata, and bote bote cha.
Lovely.
Wow.
If you're ever in the need of specialty chasen, that's
for buku buku cha. If you ever
buku
feel
buku
the
cha.
burning need, it's awesome. That's really cool, man.
Yeah. I mean, some people make buku buku cha still. There's
I'd actually never heard of it until you told me about it. There's one. Is there one in there's one in Okinawa that. Which one?
I lost you for a second.
Is that bata bata cha? I can't remember. Yeah.
Bata bata is Toyama. Buku buku is Okinawa.
Okay, so buku buku was one that was shared with me one of my friends. I love the Japanese these what are they? Onomatopoeias for
It's almost like a joke.
It's great. I love it. I like to make them up. I'll be like to my wife, I'll be like, Mew, what is does kaba kaba mean something or chapa chapa? She's like, no. And I'm like, how about koro koro? And she's like, yeah, that means something. I'm like, oh, sweet.
And it's dirty, right? No.
Maybe. Yeah, there's lots of that. Yeah, no.
Exactly.
It's fun time.
She taught me all the Japanese slang of her region.
Oh.
I'm not familiar with the Japanese slang.
we might. I don't know if we want to continue this. We might have to add some bleeps, and YouTube will have forced me to say not for children.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Let's not go there.
Awesome.
Let's maybe get into Takaki land.
Yeah, let's get into Takaki land. So.
TT land. TT.
land. Speaking of, it's almost onomatopoeic.
What's that? You kind of broke up.
All right.
There.
I got my my Takaki leaves.
Lovely. Okay. I believe this show, Sister Speak, you have a temperature variable kettle. Is that what happened?
Yes, I don't know how to use it. Would you be able to guide me?
So you plug it in. That's step one.
Okay. Plugged it in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then on the bottom right.
Okay.
There's a dial, and you see the dial? It's also a button. So if you press the button on the bottom right, it's like an analog dial. That turns it on, and then if you turn the dial right or left, then
nice.
Then it sets the temperature. So you're wanting to set the temperature for 40 degrees centigrade. If it's not on centigrade, there's an option to change between centigrade and Fahrenheit on the back left of the unit.
I'm on centigrade.
You're on centigrade?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. So
40 degrees.
40 degrees, that's what you want. Okay?
And we discovered that in the Okanagan, we shouldn't boil it. We shouldn't set it to 100 degrees Celsius, right?
That's right, because we managed to break a kettle when
What?
we did that.
Yeah.
How so?
It just it couldn't handle going past it was trying to force the unit to hit 100 degrees, even though that was impossible.
It is impossible in the Okanagan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys, Pedro has brought a scale with him. He's not normally a scale kind of guy, but he's doing this for the cause.
Exactly.
Oh, cool.
You know, Pedro, Takaki, when he's making tea, he has a little like analog scale, and and he has a 5 yen coin that he puts on the one side. And then he measures 5 grams for each one, so that when he's cupping his teas, he's got it down. And that's pre-Jaga Silk. This is like,
wow.
If I can get hold of one of those 5 yen scales, I will use a scale for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
The electric just doesn't work. But if I can get an analog 5 yen scale, that changes things completely.
You know, when we visited Mandokoro, the Kawakamis had this massive analog scale, and what was crazy is that it was like, they said it was like 100 years old or whatever, and it looked like it, but almost an exact replica of it looked like to me was being used by the honey farmer that we work with for our jun, our kombucha,
great.
up in Frederick's Honey. It was pretty funny. They were they had a hive sitting on a scale, and they were weighing how much honey disappeared and came in. It was pretty awesome. Okay,
perfect sense.
So we're gonna weigh out 4 grams of tea. Okay.
All right.
4 grams.
Should I use a dry?
Say that. What's your question again?
4 grams.
And then you can use whatever you want for brewing, but I suggest it be kind of something on the smaller side. This is a lovely little unit from Hoshinomura that we purchased from Takaki Papa. We call him Takaki's dad. It was from his collection, and it's it's specifically for brewing Gyokuro. So it's like a little, kind of almost looks like a spaceship. And
I brought a spaceship from
I
Robert
tried-
Stickney's son.
What's that again?
I brought a spaceship from Robert Stickney.
Excellent. Okay. So you got your Robert Stickney spaceship. Sherri Anne, you can
I got-
use a jar or whatever you want to do for something small, because you want it.
Yeah, I have a jar. The only thing is I don't have anything else with measurements except this like medium mason jar.
Well, you're gonna weigh the water, so you're gonna be in a good place, because you don't need to use volumetrics for measuring the water.
Okay, let me change vessels then.
Okay, and you guys want to set your timer for 4 minutes? You got one on?
I'm gonna just.
You know what, Jared? I'm gonna put it at the same time that you are, because my timer is the screen that is broadcasting this thing. So.
Okay, then we'll hold off on that. Okay.
When you say go, I will pour the water
okay.
in my.
Okay, so why don't we get you ready then with your water? So those of you who are watching, Pedro, he's gonna take his boiling water. Do you have boiling water?
Boiling water.
And you're gonna pour it into one of those guys. You could weigh one of them. Probably put one of them on a scale. You're gonna use about 50 grams.
Okay.
And then Sherri Anne, you're not gonna do this because you have a temperature variable kettle. But this is what you would have done.
Okay.
And then you're just going to keep on transitioning yours.
Number one.
And that's gone down to 90. Then you're going to transfer it again.
Stir. Number 2.
Yeah. And then transfer it again. And as soon as the heat comes through, you know that you've dropped around 10 degrees centigrade.
Great. Oh. Number 3.
And it's pretty fast with those beakers, especially with a small amount of liquid.
Massive beakers.
So you've gone, you go 100 to 90, 90 to 80, 80 to 70, 70 to 60. So you're at 60 degrees. Ideally, you would have 2 more vessels so that you can. Do you have maybe you can use your brewing vessel that you're going to use? You can drop into that and preheat that.
I got it. That's my last vessel, which will be my brewing vessel.
Okay, awesome.
All right, sir.
I think you're going to be in a good place now. So then what I want you to do is I want you to put the brewing vessel onto the scale, and then I want you to add you don't need to do this because you already weighed your water. You're just going to put your water onto your leaves, all right?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to put the last few drops so that we lose no grams of water.
Lovely.
How many milliliters is it?
You're gonna weigh Sherri. You're gonna weigh 50 or 60 grams.
Okay.
Okay. The recipe calls for 60 grams. I like it with a little bit less, like 50, just to make it that much stronger. And you want to use your 40-degree water there, Sherri? And
yeah, it's 40. It's at 40.
And your timer's at 4 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna add. We're gonna go all together. Okay, go.
All right, man.
So 50. Okay, we didn't really do a leaf analysis, but while it's brewing, we'll have lots of time because there's 4 minutes that we're waiting for. So why don't we just quickly check out the leaves, guys?
All right.
Okay.
And then I'll put that off to the side. And what I'm going to decant into, I like to, when it's this low of a water temperature, I generally am going to preheat. And then...
oh, okay. I could do that. I'm going to get another cup then. Be right back.
I am preheating.
And then what I really like is one of these guys. See that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like to put that on there, just to capture.
I'm using this guy.
That's even better.
Copper.
Yeah. Even better.
So I have a spaceship and a copper strainer from Ninja Land.
Lovely. Lovely.
In Kolga.
Okay. So maybe we can take a look at those leaves. You can smell them. So
yeah.
I was talking to Takaki yesterday, and I said we're gonna do his Gyokuro on the show today, and he was excited. He said this is the best time to have it. He said there's something about Gyokuro that's had a chance, like a year for it to rest. He feels that's when it has a really good opportunity to express its flavor in the best way possible.
Oh, cool.
That's definitely not like the normal perception of a Japanese delicate green. Normally we think, a year from harvest, it's going to be circumspect and it's not going to be an ideal situation. I mean, they harvest this at the end of May, so we're not quite a year, but we're pretty close, right? So we're about a month away. But he really likes it at this time, and I've been finding it tasting delicious, especially if it's been stored really well, right? So
It's thick, man.
sorry.
It's very thick. I'm looking at the liquid.
Yeah.
It's already starting to look gooey.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, hey?
Yeah.
This style is called susuricha.
Yeah.
And in Hoshinomura, they've patented the name shizukucha. So apparently you're only allowed to use shizukucha if it's in Hoshinomura. So
What does that mean? What's a shizuku?
shizukucha, well, susuricha, what I hear from it is kind of like the sound of sipping. Shizukucha, I would have to look up. I'm not going to pretend to know what it means.
No.
But
It means most delicious jewel from
there
the
you
earth.
go, probably.
I don't know.
So, and when you make it this way, this is how we were taught actually at a tea school in Kyoto, in Uji. There's like an Uji tea school.
Yeah.
And when you sit down and you drink tea with the instructors, they actually walk you through the process of making it, and you get to be the one making it. And then they have like their instructor cards on their waist, and it's this very interesting opportunity to just learn from these people that are really well educated. So they were the ones that were suggesting this. So we're gonna do a couple infusions here, but I've kind of tweaked it a little bit. They often recommend 2 minutes. So if you look at the pouch, then you're gonna find that if you look at the pouch, you're gonna find that the settings are a little bit different. It calls for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But when we were in Hoshinomura, we went to this beautiful tea shop, and the guy was making it at 4 minutes, which I'd never done before, and it was mind blowing. So, yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're at 8.
The jar says 4 minutes, and the pouch says 2 minutes.
Yeah. So either one is fine. We're at. We need to pour. We are ready.
Okay.
Or
So, and apparently shizuku means drip, so like or drop. So it's just.
it is.
I think it's implying that
dripping.
that intense concentration. So before I had Gyokuro this way, I was always a huge matcha fan, and Pedro, Jaga Silk started just like 5 years of exclusively doing matcha. We didn't have any loose teas at all, right?
Yeah.
5 years, wow.
Yeah, and so for us, this was a game changer, was having tea made this way. And I think you'll understand when you go to drink it, and get out that last little bit. Now, I feel like I'm breaking some rules here. Being very careful to not over-agitate is pretty important. This particular selection, this Saemidori on our reserve lot, this one was... This one came in 16th in all of Japan at the Japanese Agricultural Standards Competition.
That's pretty good.
So it's pretty fun. The Takaki Papa, as we call him, he made this tea. He made a competition, Gyokuro, over 20 years ago, and they came in second at the time. And he said that was too much work. I'm never going to do it again.
Yeah.
And then here we are over 20 years later. He did it again. He came in 16th, and he's like, screw this. I'm never doing this again.
It's rigged.
So I don't know if he thinks it's rigged, but the amount of work that you have to put into it, like to create this, you have to separate the good stuff out of the main batch. So normally you would separate out flaws, but for this one they separate out the good leaves.
Yeah.
So let's take little tiny sips, guys.
That's strong.
Little tiny sips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that intense?
Yeah, you know what? I was reading butter, asparagus, and roast, and I said, yeah, butter, asparagus, but no roast. But if you just wait for 10 seconds, roast is there.
The rose is there.
You just have to wait for the roast to come.
Yeah, it comes in the finish for sure.
Right. In the beginning, there's absolutely no roast. It's just asparagus and butter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But then roast comes in, and it's actually pretty intense roast.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
I was trying to identify the flower when we were tasting this, and it tasted floral, right? I often hear the word floral when we're having these intense infusions of Gyokuro, but to identify what flower that was, for me, it definitely has that very, like a very common rose smell, like you'd have in rose water or something,
Yes.
Is it a more delicate leaf when you're preparing it then?
Is it a more delicate leaf?
It's just the tea itself is a lot more delicate than other varieties of green tea, I imagine.
Well, yes and no. I mean, if you look at these leaves, they've been separated pretty carefully. There's not a whole lot of sediment in there.
Mm-hmm.
And for Takaki, he's never been against having a whole lot of sediment. He has a lot of broken, tiny leaves. He harvests like millimeters at a time using his tractor system, and he's able to pull off some pretty incredible selections of tea in fairly large batches, which is uncommon. And but this one is kind of not going down his normal road. These are a lot. So it's a delicate flavor profile, but this particular leaf for Takaki isn't that breakable or fragile. If we're talking about delicate that way, if we're talking about delicate flavors, yeah, definitely. But it was interesting because this particular lot, they borrowed it from another farmer in the region to grow their competition stuff. So they're like, we're gonna do a competition one this year, and they like toured around and found a lot they thought would be amazing. They rented it from their friend, and then they went all in on it, and they prepared this tea. They grew the Saemidori cultivar. They worked on it for like 7 years, and then they got it to this point.
I think it's pretty good, man.
Yeah.
I know that guy has some abandoned tea trees. I know where they are.
Yeah. Yes. Pedro had a chance to visit Takaki as well.
Nice.
Yeah. And he's been trying to encourage a conversation.
Convince that guy to use the abandoned tea fields because they're pretty good. I think you can make some rad tea with those things.
Yeah. The region is really interesting too. Hey, like. A lot of times when you're driving around in Japan and you're looking in different tea regions, there's a lot of tea fields growing on the side of the road. But in Hoshinomura, there's not a whole lot of tea growing where you can easily see it when you're driving through the community. You got to go up into the mountains, and then suddenly it's like...
It's there. Well, so this year it's difficult because of virus reasons, but next year... Yeah. I'm already starting to. I'm in contact with J-Food. Yeah. I want the J-Food, like the government association in Japan.
Right.
And I'm looking for some seed funding.
Okay.
To promote, Japanese agriculture again.
Yeah.
Huh?
And I already have a movie director from California. He's a really good customer and friend.
Cool.
Wow.
So we're gonna bring 10 people from North America and make some wild tea and bring it back. And serve it at a very fine dining Japanese restaurant that has subsidiaries in California and New York and a bunch of other places.
That'd be cool, man. Yeah, you were talking about this. Yeah, this is, we were talking about maybe, you did a pop-up shop in Shibuya last year, and
Shibuya last year, yeah.
And we were talking about maybe
if you're interested in making some wild tea, we should
do it together.
Put together some strength to get some seed funding, man.
That'd be really fun. I mean, there's a lot of abandoned tea in Japan, and it's actually kind of depressing. Like when you're driving around, you see just so many abandoned lots, and I think there's
I hear it's gonna get worse this year. I think that Shizuoka is already having a lot of trouble selling their harvest because the whole world is focused on surviving. So tea farmers, they're gonna have a difficult year.
I think a lot of farmers are gonna have a difficult year, but especially ones that are dealing with arguably what's considered a luxury good, right? Like people are focused on toilet paper rather than tea. So
right. Well, exactly. So this year is gonna be tough, and if we can help those guys to bring things back to a decent place next year, I think it won't be bad.
Well, the unfortunate thing is also the trend that's been happening, right? Like there's a trend of sort of a less and less tea being enjoyed domestically. Like in Japan, you see more and more people moving towards plastic bottles, and you go. There's always been a tradition of bringing tea out whenever you have a guest, but that in less and less homes is that done using loose leaf tea. More and more, it's done using just ready to drink bottled tea. And so they've been putting a lot of their energy into supporting export. And not every farmer is going to have the systems in place to be able to successfully negotiate the export market, right? So it's
many of these micro farmers, they're 65 years and older.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not going to start investigating how to export. So
they'd rather just
if
retire,
we can somehow make it easier for those guys, well, exactly. They will probably work until they're 100 years old.
Probably,
but at age 65, they don't really think about exporting. They just think about doing the same thing they've always done because that's who they are.
Yeah.
So it'd be really cool if we can, even within Japan, if we can, in some way, show even Japanese people how cool their own culture is.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, that's a huge galvanizing force from you and I at JagaSilk is we feel that by making tea cool again, like make it like wine or chocolate, or in Japan I think coffee is considered this more interesting and novel thing more than tea is. And that's
it's an old lady drink. We're like the old ladies.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
really
I
will.
Whereas on the West Coast, it's like this. It is. Sorry, go ahead.
I just noticed something being in California and traveling between California, New York, and Berlin a lot. Mm-hmm. And I will say, matcha and loose leaf tea, like I see it everywhere. Yeah, like obviously there's a to-go culture, but it's like in Berlin when I was there, a lot of people will go and sit down. I don't see very many people walking with to-go cups ever. It's like so rare.
Right.
Those Germans are good people. We love those guys.
Yeah. So I think that there is a culture emerging, but there also is such a huge to-go culture. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
But when I came back, I was like, wow, we were gonna go get some tea, or so we're gonna get coffee. I don't drink coffee, but people I'm with usually do. We actually make a point to sit down and drink it, and that's when you get to experience the best flavors, and then you get to actually have loose leaf,
Right. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm not a fan of to-go cups.
I do find that in North America, or specifically the Pacific Northwest, there seems to be like a understanding of how geeky you can get when it comes to having specialty greens or specialty tea in general. Matcha has quite they say that the biggest consumer of matcha outside of Japan is the Pacific Northwest. So
that's what I was thinking that too, because of Seattle and Vancouver and Victoria. Mm-hmm. Like I've just seen such a in those specific places. Actually, that's funny. Those are like my favorite places to travel. Those specific places, the Northwest, and then I did see quite a bit in New York and California as well. Mm-hmm. That's really amazing because that makes sense from just touring. Because when we tour, I always try to get matcha on the road.
Nice. Yeah. No.
Okay.
Let's make this second infusion, guys. While we're
okay.
Yeah. Let's. So you can see the leaves have opened up a little bit.
40 degrees.
Yeah, we're gonna do 40 degrees again. This time we're gonna do a 5-minute infusion instead of a. And then now the grammage. There's been so much that's been soaked up into these leaves. At least 30 grams. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna pour 30 grams of liquid onto these leaves.
All right.
Okay.
Yep, can do that.
So let me know when you're ready, and I'll press go on the timer. Okay, go.
Wait, almost.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm ahead of you. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
From where I was looking, it looked like you were
pouring it the old way.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
That's how Takaki and I do it. No,
Yeah.
no, he's probably just got a sojirushi with the exact temperature.
Yeah, No, he's careful. He's careful. With
I
Gyokuro, though, I have actually not had him serve me Gyokuro. He served me some beautiful sencha.
I'm ready, man.
Okay, I already started, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah. So I'll do it like 10 seconds after you finish.
Sounds like a plan. Okay. Actually, I didn't start my timer until you poured, so I actually have to finish 10 seconds.
Do it before.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, you started over there, Cher?
Yes, I started when you started.
Okay, excellent. Okay, lovely. So we're all in the same place. Okay.
Almost. It's got bubbles now.
It's got bubbles now? You're seeing?
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? So
oh yeah, same.
There's my understanding is that is just a sign of a lot of umami, and that when you When that disappears, it's a sign that your tea has gotten a little bit too old. I've had some people tell me that it's more to do with nitrogen, and reacting with the liquid in the water, and when the leaves open up, they're just releasing those little bubbles. They seem to appear in some teas and not in others. Have you had any conversation
Nitrogen,
about bubbles
what
at all?
kind of nitrogen?
From the intense amounts of nitrogen that's used in growing Japanese greens. Yeah.
I don't know, just being a complete dorky geek, but if it's nitrogen, it would probably be transformed into nitrogen from the soil would probably be transformed into amino acids.
Right. Which
would
I think,
create umami.
Which is what I think is the conversation. So nitrogen becoming amino acid, the bubbles being a sign of that increased amount of umami in a Japanese green.
Right. The amino acids are probably surfactants, which will play around with surface tension of the water, which would make those bubbles.
Makes sense, right? That's logical.
I would think.
I had another tea company tell me that their understanding was that it was the result of spraying. But I've seen these bubbles in some beautiful organics or tea.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it has
I've seen bubbles on wild tea all over the place.
Yeah, so I don't really agree with that.
It was probably some guy who had no umami in his tea, and then he just said spray.
Yeah, fair.
It was also hard to know.
It was an oolong specialist, but sorry, go ahead.
It might be hard to know if it's from the tea or the water, though, too, right?
Well, it's from certain teas do it and certain teas don't.
Okay.
So I've noticed that definitely the richer, more like fuller bodied Japanese greens tend to do this. So
that's it. If you're in the Okanagan, you have hard water.
Yeah.
So the chances of you getting bubbles are slimmer, unless you really filter your water well, in which case you would get those bubbles.
I barely have any bubbles. I have like 2 bubbles.
That's because of your Okanagan water, so you are correct.
Ah.
It's not a crappy tea that Jared gave you, it's actually your hard water in the Okanagan.
Can you see that okay? Can you see those bubbles?
I have like 4 bubbles.
I have...
Yeah, that's your hard water.
Oh, is it time for me to pour?
We are at still 1 minute and 55 seconds away.
Oh, dude.
Did you just...
I will return it.
Oh, no. You kind of went with your instinct there. Yeah.
I somehow... Well, it was pretty green.
Okay.
And it had lots of amino acids because I have Vancouver water.
Right. You might be ready to rock and roll. I'm actually interested in you just making this tea how you would normally make this tea. But I'm finding it 40 degrees C. But we also don't know if you actually have 40 degrees C. You could be a little hotter. Who knows?
Pretty darn close.
Okay.
It felt more like almost like the kind of water that you could shower with. So.
Okay. Yeah, you don't want to have much hotter than 40 for that.
No, not if you like your skin.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So let's talk a little bit. You guys still have some left of that first infusion?
Nope.
I have a tiny dot.
You have a tiny dot. What are you picking up in this?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm picking up a lot of it almost has like a saltiness to it.
Yeah. There's like a savory quality to it for sure. Yeah. No.
It's like a savory tea. I actually am not used to savory tea. It tastes like a savory tea to me. It's like a different concept.
You know, the terroir or like sort of a unique identifier for Takaki's teas for me is this kind of sugared potato flavor.
Oh.
And that comes through, and I'm like, oh, potato, that's Takaki, like immediately. I that's my connection to his work.
Fair enough.
And it's a pleasant thing. It doesn't sound pleasant when I say it. It sounds almost like it might be a flaw, but it doesn't taste like a flaw. It tastes actually really, really good. But yeah.
It kind of makes me crave a pecan tart.
Okay. Awesome.
I think that's a smart choice. I would totally go for a pecan tart.
Pecan tart?
I think it would pair really well.
Oh,
I think so.
I'm 10 seconds behind, Pedro. You're right on time if you pour right now.
All right, I'm out.
And I forgot to use my little sieve.
I am being very gentle with all the drops.
Excellent.
They look beautiful and green.
Yeah.
JD and everything else.
This looks amazing.
That looks pretty good.
Okay.
Every last drop.
Spaceship is empty.
This is so fun.
There you go. Okay. So little tiny sips again. Like, you will not go wrong, Sherri Anne, by just taking like the smallest sips of this.
Yeah, I noticed it tastes completely different when I took a large gulp in the beginning and then a small sip.
Yeah.
It's a totally different experience.
If you drink this tea made this way, like just a regular cup of tea, it's too powerful, and it's
Yeah.
But when you drink it in little tiny sips, it's just like a nectar.
Yeah. It tastes like it's nourishing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sweet potato nectar.
Sweet potato.
Are you picking up on the potato, man?
You know, I probably haven't had that many sweet potatoes lately, so no. but I kind of know what you. Yeah, I can get the texture, the starchiness,
Yeah, the
and I get the
salty starch.
perfume.
Yeah.
So I would translate that as a sweet potato because it's starchy and perfumey in a really nice way. I would drink this thing all day long.
But I went with asparagus and butter and rose, so it's
It definitely reminds me of like a holiday dinner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, of course it's not, but it's almost like artificial. That flowery thing in the end, it feels unreal for how green and vegetable intense it is in the beginning.
Right. Yeah. When I was
I think this one has more of the floral presence, this steep, and I like that better.
So this to me, this is a tea that I drink, but I don't think it's my go-to drink like all the time, every day. It's not like one of those comfortable, easy to drink teas. It's just like, hey, I want to have a really special tea right now. I'm just gonna have this like blow your mind. Mew calls it an umami bomb. And it's
Nice. It is. It's very satisfying. That's what it is. So you know, it's really delicious, but it's satisfying. You probably have a pot of this thing, and you're good to go for a while.
right. Yeah, you kind of it fills you right up, kind of thing, right? So it's
Yeah, true.
totally puts you in a good place.
That is.
When we're doing
Perfect.
our second or third infusion, guys, I want you to raise that temperature all the way up to 70 degrees C.
Oh, I love how this kettle.
I'm gonna need
I can't believe we broke the kettle trying to get it to be 100 in the Okanagan.
Yes, yeah. Fellow was really good about replacing it for sure, an 8 ounce.
But how
Thank
could
the
it go?
Lord.
How can the kettle keep going? Because it's a freaking resistance.
I think it was just pushing, and then something just gave. I didn't actually reach the temperature that it was hoping for. It was just kept on trying, and therefore something.
So the
blew.
resistance was completely on all the time,
And it just overwhelmed it, and it just something broke. It would still turn
Fair enough.
on, but it wouldn't actually increase in temperature anymore. So you
I
could
see.
use it as a glorified thermometer, but that was about it.
dude, I have my very low tech.
It's good. It's good.
Ooh,
Yep.
And you put the charcoal in there, right?
Yeah, there's some Bincho Tan in that guy.
Yeah. It helps
So-
clean it right up.
shall we show what our supplies are?
Yeah, let's see what you were brewing with. Show me.
Okay, so I had, this has the tea in it. And then I originally was going to use this big jar, but I decided not to.
Okay.
And I actually transferred it instead of the tea into this little tiny cup for brewing.
Okay, that works. Yeah.
And it's the same weight as that big jar. What are the chances? And then I steep it. Is it okay that I pour it, after it's steeped, I pour it into this little baby cup with this strainer?
Perfect. We often tell people all you need is 2 cups and a sieve. That's like.
Oh, that's what I have.
Yeah, you don't need like some sort of crazy brewing concoction of any kind. And if you want to get the right brewing temperature, if you know boiling water is generally 100 degrees and you're doing Pedro's method there of going dropping between containers, then you're going to get down. In Pedro's tea bar, this is not something that he would normally do. He's doing this for me, weighing the leaves and controlling time, but he's more of a and correct me if I'm wrong here, Pedro, but more of you do it by feel, right? Like you let the tea kind of speak to you. And
a bit more like that. And honestly, man, so the leaves are so compact, and there's absolutely no dust in this thing. I think you can even live without the sieve. You can just decant it.
Yeah, which is.
Oh.
And if you have a few leaves in there, it's not to be. If you have a date, just check that you have no green on your teeth. But other than that, It would be
You're
great.
gonna be in a
You
good
have no
place.
green on your teeth, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, I'm good for my date. That's just,
What kind of scale? What scale do you have? I have this little baby one. What scale do you?
I did the same thing.
Oh, it's a little cutie one like this.
I got a baby scale. That's in honor of Jared, who likes scales.
Oh, that's cute.
He was funny. I was like, okay, so how are we gonna do this? When I was calling him earlier this morning, and he's like, I got a scale in my pocket for you, Jared.
Exactly.
So it's good. It's good.
Exactly.
So are we at 70, Cher?
Yes, it just made it to 70.
Okay, so we have 4 grams. So in a perfect world, you would actually fill it to 150 grams, which is gonna overflow your cup. So it'd probably be smart for you to switch your leaves, if you can, to something a little bigger. Like maybe put them in that jar that you were gonna use initially.
Oh, okay.
And then for me, I just kind of like to do this for my my third infusion. I like to go sencha style.
All right.
I'm gonna go
You
grab
tell me when.
spoon.
So if you can fit 150 grams in whatever you're brewing, awesome. If not, then
It fits.
awesome. And then
My spaceship is big enough.
your spaceship is big enough. Lovely.
150 grams.
I almost said a PG-13 joke, but I held off. Okay, so now we are
Not on YouTube.
not on YouTube. Okay, so
So do I add 150 grams total? Like, should I tear this whole thing?
you can do that. Yeah.
Tear the scale.
Tear the scale. Not in half.
Make it 0.
Thank you.
And then 150 grams.
Yeah. Normally you would be, if you were following regular sort of brewing technique for JagaSilk, you would be brewing with, and it's a 1-minute infusion, by the way. You would be brewing with, where's my brain? So you would be brewing with 180 milliliters of water for every 6 grams of tea. So since we put in, oh no, I screwed up. We put in 4 grams of tea, so we should have used 120 minus a little bit. So I've asked you guys to make something a little bit too weak. My bad. My math went bad. This is when
But we're doing it precisely. So
we're all precisely weak. That's where we're at. So that's a minute. Looks good though. Color-wise, looks amazing.
yeah.
Can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then when I have customers at the tea bar, I switch their drinking cup to something a little bit bigger too. So I start them off with the little tiny thimbles to encourage those tiny sips, and then I switch them to something a little bit bigger for when they're going to their third infusion.
I guess I could use what I use as my steeper as my cup now.
Yeah. And this
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty weak. Pretty weak.
Yeah. Have you filtered?
Sorry?
You filtered already.
Didn't I? Sorry. Yeah.
So you strained. Did you strain the tea already?
I sure did. Yeah.
Okay.
1 minute. Yeah.
The color is all right.
No, the color's great, and it's just a very unsatisfying third steep, whereas normally it's amazing. So I'm a little bit disappointed. But that's my own bad. I asked you guys to do 150 grams when I should have asked you to do more like 100 grams.
You know, it's not a terrible third steep.
It's just
I love it.
it's just there's so much more potential. You know, so well.
I think I've had a lot of green tea today, so it's like a nice break.
Don't let Takaki watch this episode of.
I know, and I told him about it too, so he's totally gonna watch it. And then I have one of my team members even translating the episodes into Japanese pretty soon here. So
Tell him there was a technical problem.
yes, Takaki-san, if you're watching this, there's been a technical error, a tactical error in our brewing parameters.
I still think it, as a layperson, I still think it tastes great.
Well, you know what's missing is that so it has a nice opening, but when it rolls over your tongue, you taste more of the water. You don't really taste the tea. So there's not that nice kind of third pulse of flavor.
I do taste a little bit more of the floral aspect, and I really like that.
Okay. Well, you're gonna definitely open up different attributes of flavor the more diluted you make it, versus if you make it stronger. There's just different things are gonna hit your tasting apparatus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So, this next infusion, guys, is a wash. So we generally just do. What I do is I go into like what we do for traditional sencha style, which is that the first infusion is a minute, the second infusion is 5 seconds. So if once you have 70 degrees C, you can just
5
basically fill up to 100 grams of water, and you can immediately just give it maybe 5 seconds, and you can pour it through the sieve. I don't even set a timer for this. I don't even set a timer, Pedro. You would be proud. Okay.
Yep, got it, man.
Okay. And then,
Still very green. Takagi-san, you did a good job.
yeah, he does.
So sorry. So how many milliliters?
This is 100. So what I was trying to say earlier, when I kind of went off in my sort of tangent and didn't complete my sentences, which I've been getting better and better at not completing sentences as COVID-19 continues. Less and less intelligible, so that I don't remember what I'm saying. Okay, please go ahead. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, how long do I do the wash for? How long do I?
The wash is 5 seconds.
Oh, and then I pour it into the cup.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I did it for like 10 seconds.
We'll be okay. We're gonna survive.
Perfectly fine.
So.
I'm not drinking the wash.
You're drinking.
Yeah,
it.
drink it.
You are
Drink
drinking
it.
it.
Oh, I am drinking it. I put it in a different cup because I wasn't sure, and it's huge.
That's all good. That's all good. Okay. So generally what we do at Jaga Silk is for the first infusion of a sencha, we do a minute, 6 grams, 180 mils. To complete my thought that I was trying to complete earlier, there is essentially you want to make room for that water absorption. So if you're using scales and rather than volume, you just want to, what you could do is you could just keep brewing on the same scale and not tear it every time. So that it for example, if I put 180 grams of water onto 6 grams of dry sencha leaf, and then I pour at the end of 1 minute into a decanter, and I put the teapot back onto the scale, it will have it won't be 0 anymore, right? It will be about 30 grams. It actually retains about 1/6 of the total that you brewed with. So you're only drinking 5/6. And so when I go to do the second infusion, I like to keep that in mind, that with senchas there's about a 1/6 absorption rate, and so I only fill it up to 5/6. So 180, I'm going to brew. That's why I was saying 150 for the second infusion of a sencha. We would have been doing 150 for it, but I forgot that for the Gyokuro we used 4 grams of tea, so that should have been a total of 120. So 5/6 of that would have been closer to 100 grams, which is what we did now. Anyway, just a lot of like numbers and math and stuff, but it's just, I find that can make a really consistent cup of tea, so that when my team is making this for my customers, or when our wholesale customers are making teas for their customers, giving them a method really helps with consistency.
It's true.
Yeah. Although you can rarely beat making tea by feel and just letting it speak to you once you got some basic parameters down. Okay.
It's good to have a starting point.
Yeah, exactly. Science is a tool.
Yeah.
For creating some art. All right.
I like science.
Science is great.
Delicious.
Science is delicious. I'm just joking.
That's true.
Yeah, no, this is the tea is delicious. Excellent. Okay.
The tea is delicious. I think Takagi-san. I think Takagi's dad should make tea another year at least.
I know. Yeah, I want him to go for it again. So one of his staff, Morimatsu-kun. Oh, sorry if I've said his name wrong. He's really talented at hand rolling. So the teimomi. Yeah, the teimomi. He's come in first place in his region. His team has for a number of years in
Nice.
a row, and they ranked pretty high in the nationals a couple years back, and I'm pretty excited about that process. I think they have a lot of knowledge at their disposal that they could utilize for making some pretty fantastic teas. I would love to have a hand rolled or temomi Gyokuro with the material that was used for the winning Gyokuro, like that'd be so cool.
Even some kamairicha, and they have the trees, and as we were talking, a bunch of the trees that are abandoned, nobody's using them.
I know, yeah. Well,
They're just there, and they're taller than Jared, which is pretty tall.
I think their biggest issue is the harvest, right? Because once they've been abandoned, they're not these, immaculate hedges that are so much easier to work with. Instead, they have a.
That's correct.
Right, so it's a little bit more. Yeah, it's more difficult to work with for sure.
That's why they bring these hippie Canadians to harvest.
Well, I think it's a brilliant idea. Yeah, no, I think it should happen. It should definitely happen. Is get the hippie Canadians to harvest some tea and then produce it, and who knows, maybe it might even taste good. That would be amazing.
Maybe we could do a concert. We could do a concert at the tea farm.
Yeah,
exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
Amazing.
I would like
we need
to.
a soundtrack.
What's that?
We need a soundtrack for the movie.
There we go. We'll invite Sister Speak, and maybe we could throw in some Truth and Dolphin. It'd be pretty.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. And maybe we can have Sister Speak in the band picking tea. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. I feel like this tea right here makes me want to meditate.
The L-theanine kicking in again?
Yeah, I think the wash makes me want to meditate.
I find that whenever I'm having Gyokuro, I end up getting into a pretty relaxed state. It reminds me of having a really good matcha. And if I haven't eaten anything, though, it wires me. Like, I get so wired.
Oh, I had a little bit of lunch when I first tuned in. I had some homemade spaghetti.
Lovely.
Oh, nice.
Have you eaten, Pedro? We're okay?
No, I was hearing that it gets you wired if you haven't eaten, and I was like, yeah.
And you're like,
feeling pretty wired.
That's where I am, yeah.
I'm bringing just the final steep here. 30 seconds, man.
Right.
30 seconds. How much?
You want a little less than 100 grams. So you could go with like 90, 95.
Yeah. Takaki-san, if you're listening to this, we should make some wild tea, man.
Some wild tea? I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and who knows? Maybe we can have him come to the pop-up shop, and we can all serve tea together in Nagoya.
Yeah.
Okay. So, there we go. Steep number 5. Still emerald green.
Has it been 30
Never
seconds?
stay at steep 4.
What's that?
Has it been 30
steep is
seconds?
bad luck. Sorry. Go.
Sorry. I was wondering if it's been 30 seconds already.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for me.
It was quick. I also had 30 seconds.
What were you saying, Pedro?
That it's really bad luck to stay in 4 steeps. You should go to 5.
Right. Yeah,
At least.
Yeah, we don't want to.
But,
Yeah. Well, the 4 is homonym for death in Japanese, so
oh,
they don't even have a 4th hospital floor.
wow.
Yeah, it's like 13 for North America.
We don't have 13.
Yeah, you don't really have a 13th floor in a hospital.
We don't have 4th floors in Vancouver either.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, there's a bunch of places that have no 4th floor.
Huh.
Oh my gosh.
A number of luxury buildings downtown, they only have 3 and then 5.
Huh.
Did you know that we're in the 3 places that Jared and I grew up?
Oh yeah?
Vancouver, Victoria, and the Okanagan. Well, technically Richmond.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I spent a lot of
Excellent.
time in Richmond. Yeah, that's
Not a bad place to grow up.
Mhm.
Any of them.
So we're at we've gone way past time, but one of the things we were going to do, Cher, is drink one of Pedro's teas, which I haven't been able to send to you because I just received it myself. So you might be just more listening in on this. You could
Fun.
just kind of vicariously participate. But
Hysterically, yes.
much respect if you need to go. Pedro, are you cool with cupping your tea, or are you run out of time?
I'm also running out of time.
Are
But
you running
what
out
I
of
can do is I can send some of it to the Okanagan, and then you can try it, and
We can have it
Aw.
another time. Okay, all right. Then maybe this is a good moment to say thank
Take it
you.
over.
I apologize, Pedro. I know one of our plans was definitely to drink that tea.
Not a problem, man.
And I'm looking forward to doing so. So, but maybe we can do that we'll do it maybe on an off episode where it won't be an official JagaVision, but it'll just be like Jared and Pedro drinking Pedro's tea.
Maybe I'll learn how to do this, and I'll invite you guys to an O5 episode, and then we'll geek out about something else.
Why don't we do that? That sounds like an awesome idea. Let's. You could even do it through your Instagram. You can invite guests to your Instagram.
Yeah, that's so fun.
Perfect.
And then we could just drink the tea together, and then we can just geek out on the O5 channel. Does that sound like fun?
How was
Do
this
that.
last steep for everybody? Just one quick question.
The last steep?
Hmm.
Let me.
I would say thirst quenching,
Yeah, I agree.
and that's
And-
it.
Maybe we can do a trade. We can trade. I can send you some music for like a little tea.
I'm disappointed in this tea from the third steep on because I messed up the brewing parameters. But I know it's a good tea and it's delicious if we brew it with less water on the third steep.
Yeah, maybe just edit that last little part so Takaki-san cannot listen to that.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, we can just we just won't put the subtitles for that part.
Exactly, don't put subtitles.
As a
You probably
layperson-
still understand, but
Exactly.
yeah.
Or
I'm
or
already
fake the
meditating,
subtitles.
so I'm good. Oh, sorry, cut you off.
Fake the subtitles. Just say like, oh,
Yeah,
the character and
yeah,
the perfect expression.
like a Monty Python episode where the subtitles say different things than what we're actually saying. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. And yes, I'll send you some tea, and let's trade for some music.
Okay.
If you have a couple
Oh,
of
I'd love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can share the tea and music love.
Amazing.
All right.
Uh-huh.
All right. Thanks for coming
Thanks,
on,
guys.
Pedro. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Peace.
Thank you. Later.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
And thank you, Sister Speak, Sherri Anne. Huge appreciation. Love having you on as always, providing your unique perspective. it's fun times. So yeah, but
I think I'm gonna go meditate now,
You should
and then
go.
and go for a walk.
and so your next live performance via your Patreon.
Yes.
What is the URL for Patreon? Your Patreon, patreon.com/sisterspeak.
Yep, you got it.
Okay, patreon.com/sisterspeak. Okay, so our viewers should go check her out. Patreon.com/sisterspeak. If you want to go and check out Pedro's stuff, you want to go to O5T, spelt like the letter O, not a zero. 5t.com. You can check out some beautiful selections there, and we'll give you some more updates on when we go on his show. For Sister Speak, I'm commonly on her show on Thursdays when she's doing her performance from 12 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. And then Saturdays, I'm not generally on that one, but she does another show that's for like your friends in Europe. Is that right? Or is it the Europe show is the Thursday one? I can't quite remember.
Oh, well, yeah, the Thursday one at 12 p.m. Victoria time.
Mhm.
That one's for the West Coast lunch, and then Europe, and then the Saturday night one is more for the evening for the West Coast,
Lovely. Okay.
7 p.m.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so if you want to go check her out there, that would be amazing. Thank you for coming on, and we'll
Thank
see
you
you
so
again.
much.
We'll see you again next week. Next week we'll be drinking some, likely some Darjeelings, so it should be interesting.
Woo! Woohoo!
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yay!
Okay. So we are about to wrap up here, but had a really interesting show today, at least from my perspective. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Had a really good time talking to O5T, Pedro Villalon, Sister Speak Music's Sherri Anne, and we were discussing the Gyokuro. If you want to go onto our webpage, jagasilk.com, you can check out some of the more the different selections of reserve teas, our seasonal teas. Like I mentioned in this episode, Jaga Silk is a specialty matcha producer. I haven't done an episode on matcha yet, although I do plan to do so. If you go onto our YouTube channel, though, you'll see lots of videos, some of us milling using this milling machine behind me. You can check out how we make a matcha latte, how we do traditional matcha, lots of different instructionals on that process. So would love you to check that out. We're still trying to get to our goal of 100 subscribers, so please tell the world about our subscription, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and then we can get a unique URL. We plan to do youtube.com/jagasilk when that becomes possible. For now, it's this kind of garbly a URL that you can find by going just onto YouTube, search Jagasilk, click on our logo, and you can find different episodes there. You can also link to it from our top page at jagasilk.com. If you use the coupon code O5T, you're going to get 10% off of the Gyokuro that we are cupping today, and we'd love your opinions on what you think, feedback. Next week we'll have Josh Hawken joining us from Transcend Coffee. He's also the director of, or at least I believe he still is, the director of the Specialty Coffee Association of Canada. He's a coffee tasting judge. We've worked with Transcend Coffee and supplied them with their teas for over 5 years now. They serve our matcha, our loose teas. They're located in Edmonton. So if you want to go check out Transcend, both their locations are still open for to-go only, being very, very mindful of all of the care that we all need to take while we're combating the COVID-19 crisis. Jaga Silk is also open, not the tea bar, but our website. So if you go to jagasilk.com and you want to order some teas and support the project, we'd love to send you some of our selections, and very interested in what you think. I really appreciate you watching. Jaga Silk has been around since 2005. We're 15 years old this year, so an exciting year for us. We've been focused on matcha for that entire time. We visit farms in Japan, have these direct relationships with the farmers. Like Pedro was saying, a big investment in those relationships, and so it's not just a cold and uncaring one. It's one where we are all working together and improving processes together and providing feedback to each other, and we put a lot of stock in relationship tea. So looking forward to continuing this project, and it would not be possible without your support. So thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next week, Thursday at 1 p.m. Our guests will be Sister Speak, who joins us every week. We sponsor her as her tea sponsor for her tours as she travels the world. And then we'll have Josh Hawken from Transcend Coffee. So thank you again, and see you next week. Take care.